Welcome to Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is the introductory chapter to the skeletal system, Unit 2. Chapter 6 is going to be that cytology, histology introduction to the system. Recall that we here at Johnson County Community College take a reductionist approach to studying anatomy. Therefore, we're going to study the skeletal system, but before we look at the system and even the organs of the system, which would be the bones, we're going to go to that histological and cellular level to better understand the system level. So recall Chapter 2 cytology and Chapter 4 histology will be revisited in this unit and units to come. Likewise, Chapter 1, all that introductory terminology in regards to anatomy will be seen in every unit as well. So Chapters 1, 2, and 4 are comprehensive chapters that will be revisited in regards to their content in the units to come. This unit as well as unit 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the chapter starts with a review of cartilage, and it is basically a review of the cartilages we looked at in chapter 4. And then it goes into the actual bone tissue. So slide 23 introduces the two types of bone. In chapter 4, we looked at compact bone, okay, only. In this chapter 6, we're not only going to look at compact bone, we're going to look at spongy bone. And compact bone is basically the outer wall and inner wall to bone, and in regards to the skull. But it's the external surfaces of the bone, and then sandwiched between compact bone will be spongy bone. And recall that structure is always complementary to function. So based on the external location of compact bone versus the internal location of spongy bone, there is some structural variation. If you recall, the compact bone repeating unit that we seen in histology was the osteon. Well, in spongy bone, we're going to find out it's not an osteon, it's referred to as trabeculae. And the trabeculae basically form an open lattice-like look versus a compact, dense look that the osteons show. And based on its location, it's a structural variation to compact bone. They both still are made up of the same composition, collagen fibers, extracellular matrix, calcium phosphate within the matrix to make it a solid structure. So the chapter is going to go over the histology cytology component comparing spongy versus compact, but then the chapter talks about classifications of bone. There are irregular bones, short bones, flat bones, and long bones. And long bones are the more common of the types of bones in the human body, so they go through the detail of long bones. So the anatomy of long bones. Then it proceeds into the different types of ossification, endochondral versus intramembranous, and then they discuss homeostasis and promoting bone growth within section 6.5. Things like vitamins, hormones, exercise is important in maintaining homeostasis and promoting healthy bone growth. They then go into talking about bone markings, section 6.6, and this section is very important in regards to the terminology that you're going to see with the detail of bones. Bones are the organs, bone markings are the detail. An analogy would be bones would be like a car, the bumper, the horn, the engine, the carburetor, the exhaust would be the markings. So learning the bone marking terminology here will assist you in the identification of the bone markings of the specific bones you're required to know in Chapter 7 and 8. What Chapter 7 does is look at the axial bones, and Chapter 8 looks at the appendicular and their bone markings, Chapter 7, Chapter 8. And then Chapter 9 will be a chapter on joints. So knowing the bone markings will assist you in learning the detail of the bones, known as bone markings, in Chapter 7 and 8. And likewise on the exam, I'll have a few of these anatomical terms and their definitions.